on a risk-adjusted basis, a better time to buy Bitcoin than right now. I think it's eliminated all the risks of failure. Those are all gone. And I still think it has 10x upside until it's getting started, until it's no longer early. And then I think it has upside from there. Bitcoin goes up and everything goes up more. Is that crypto is driven mostly by speculation, right? The hope that it will be better in the future than it is today. And I think where we're at right now is it's starting to be driven more by fundamentals. So like if Bitcoin goes up because governments adopt it, what should that mean for ETH? Not much, right? ETH is going to have to win on its own terms. Solana is going to have to win on its own terms. Uni is going to have to win on its particular terms. And I think this idea that Bitcoin will drag these other assets up is probably from an era where crypto was mostly speculative.
And retail.
Yeah. And I think we're moving into an era where it's more utility and more institutional. And so you're going to see these assets have very different returns.
Matt Hougan makes it obvious from the start that Bitcoin has a long way to go before its full potential is achieved. He makes simple arguments. Bitcoin has a market capitalization that is only a tenth of that of gold. We are still in the early innings, Hougan argues, until it catches up. However, he goes farther. Bitcoin is a better than average form of digital gold. History also demonstrates that when digital technology replaces analog technology, the digital version not only equals, but completely outperforms the analog one. If you're intrigued by bold predictions and deep financial insights, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more engaging content. Thank you for your support and enjoy the video.
When I went into Bitwise 2017, I was thinking 10x.
Yeah.
I think more 50x, right? So tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you two quick views on Bitcoin specifically. I think until Bitcoin is as large as gold, we're just getting started. It's still early. And I think once we get to as large as gold, then we can talk about, is it 5x bigger than gold? Is it 3x bigger than gold? Is it 2x bigger than gold? But there's still a 10x until we match gold. And try to think of another area where there's a physical and a digital analog where the physical is still bigger. Is physical newspapers bigger than digital newspapers? Is physical advertising bigger than digital advertising? Are DVDs bigger than stream? I've really struggled to come up with even one example. And so I think until we get to Bitcoin, you're actually still, until we get to gold level, you're actually still early. And it's only after gold that we start counting, like how big could this thing be? So you have a 10x until you're no longer early, right? And then beyond that, the other angle is from an institutional perspective. The thing about institutional investors is their starting point is what's called a benchmark portfolio. And a benchmark portfolio means owning everything. So like an index of stocks, the S&P 500, you can think of that as the benchmark portfolio, right? That's where they start. And then if they want to overweight NVIDIA or underweight Ford or overweight Tesla, they can tweak around the edges, but they have to get to this starting point. Crypto is now part of the global capital markets, right? It's $3 trillion. Stocks are $100 trillion. Bonds are another 100 trillion or something. So it's a sliver, it's like a percent. But of those $200 trillion, they have no exposure to Bitcoin. They don't own it yet. So it's not like a little bit of money has to come into Bitcoin. I think institutions have to buy $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion worth of Bitcoin until they get to level. Imagine what $1.5 trillion coming into Bitcoin does to the price. Like who is going to sell? How much will it go up? I think it'll be really significant. People look at the Bitcoin ETFs last year, they did $37 billion. People put $37 billion in. The price went up substantially. So there's more buying than selling. I think you got to put $1 trillion into this just to get to level. And it's just too much money. It has to come in. So I think the people who are worried that I actually think there's never been on a risk-adjusted basis, a better time to buy Bitcoin than right now. I think it's eliminated all the risks of failure. Those are all gone. And I still think it has 10x upside until it's getting started, until it's no longer early. And then I think it has upside from there. We think Bitcoin's going to 200,000 or above this year.
2025.
My view is if you look at Bitcoin, I don't want to go too far into prices, but if you look at Bitcoin since the ETF launched, it's done two things. So first it ran from 50,000 to 72,000, and then it traded sideways. And then it ran from 72,000 to 100,000, and then effectively traded sideways with a lot of volatility. I think that tells you everything you need to know about the market. The ETF introduced structurally more demand for Bitcoin than there is new supply. It bought 500,000 Bitcoin last year. We're producing 165,000. So there's more demand. So why did it trade to 72,000? That was the last all-time high. People are people. They're willing to sell at the all-time highs. Why did it trade to 100,000 and then stop there? It's a round number. That's it. So people are willing to trade at $100,000.
I love it.
The reason I bring that up is I think if we get north of 100,000, the next place where
200.
200, right? And it'll probably stop there. And, boy, that doesn't sound like a sophisticated CIO
You
view.
said before, yeah, but you said before, I have one alpha, which is like the long-term big picture alpha.
That's right.
Keep it stupid simple,
Keep
right?
it stupid simple. There's more demand than supply, and people are people. I think that tells you how this thing
People
will
are
trade.
people.
Yeah.
ETH.
Yeah, I think ETH, I'm bullish on everything. I realized maybe that's not that interesting. I think ETH will get back to a new all-time high. I think ETH is the contrarian bet in crypto right now. And here's my argument for ETH. What are the things people are most excited about outside of Bitcoin in a serious way right now? They're probably most excited about stablecoins. They're most excited about tokenization, and they're most excited about agentic AI, right? We just talked about those things. Where are those three things happening? It's all happening on ETH, right? ETH is the largest platform for stablecoins. It's got the highest share of tokenization, like an 80% market share. And most of the agentic AI stuff is on ETH or Base or whatever. I don't know. Like, I know Solana has been the cool kid because it's been the center of meme coins and the technology is very exciting. But if you look at the things people are bullish on, they're based on ETH. And so I'm pretty bullish about ETH. So I think it gets back to new all-time highs. I think Solana also does well. And maybe people ask, well, how can ETH do well and Solana do well? It's because I think we're going to 100x the number of people interacting with these blockchains. And they have different value props, Solana and ETH. One is more institutional, one is more retail. And so I think they're both going to do fine. So I think Solana will do quite well as well.
What does that mean in terms of price for Solana?
400, 450, maybe more. Not 10x. That's the challenge for people. But 2x is great. 3x is amazing, right? That's those are, in traditional finance, those are life-changing returns. And in crypto, they can be really significant as well.
Additionally, Hougan criticizes the media for concentrating on the wrong topics. Even if Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana account for around 90% of the whole cryptocurrency market, scandals or memecoins continue to dominate news reports. This continual diversion misleads newcomers and obscures the true location of chances. He also reminds us that if you have been in the cryptocurrency industry throughout the difficult years, particularly between 2018 and 2022, when regulations were murky and uncertainty pervaded the market, you have already faced the most difficult phase. We have largely moved past the uncertainty, the dread, and the repression. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications for future Bitcoin, macroeconomic, and digital asset content before we go any further. Now, let's get into his powerful predictions.
Traditional investing principle work in crypto.
Oh, it all works. We even have our own words for it. Like, what is HODL? HODL is buy and hold, right? If you put it in a pinstripe suit and put a top hat on it, same thing as buy and hold. Same thing you read in those books. We just make fun of it here in crypto. Yeah, what is buy the fucking dip? It's dollar cost average, right? We just use a different word for it. I think with a few small exceptions where I can't think of a direct tie, almost everything that is true about traditional investing is true in crypto. So costs matter. Long-term buy and hold will outperform most asset picking. Dollar cost averaging is a good idea. You should buy low and sell when it's high to keep in your tolerance. There are a few areas where I think there are differences. Crypto is a less efficient market. So I think there is arbitrage opportunities that exist in crypto that are real, that don't exist in the traditional world at the scale they do in crypto. I think staking is a fairly unique thing in crypto for which there's no sort of direct analogy in traditional investing. But the same rules of like buy, hold, rebalance, those are going to, those have worked in investing for hundreds of years. I don't think there's anything about crypto that's changed it. If you're in crypto right now, you've had this insight that most of the world hasn't had, which I feel very confident is right, which is that this thing is just getting started and it's going to be really important. It's a generational opportunity. You've already done the hard work. don't then, shoot yourself in the foot.
You said it's just getting started.
It's just getting started. Yeah. Bitcoin goes up and everything goes up more. Is that crypto is driven mostly by speculation, right? The hope that it will be better in the future than it is today. And I think where we're at right now is it's starting to be driven more by fundamentals. So like if Bitcoin goes up because governments adopt it, what should that mean for ETH? Not much, right? ETH is going to have to win on its own terms. Solana is going to have to win on its own terms. Uni is going to have to win on its particular terms. And I think this idea that Bitcoin will drag these other assets up is probably from an era where crypto was mostly speculative.
And retail.
Yeah. And I think we're moving into an era where it's more utility and more institutional. And so you're going to see these assets have very different returns. It's going to look more like the stock market. Does NVIDIA going up help Ford? No, right? They're basically irrelevant to each other. And I think we'll get to the point in 5 or 10 years where Bitcoin and Solana are basically not quite irrelevant because they're both within this crypto ecosystem, but they have a loose affiliation from their returns.
As we come to a close, Matt Hougan gives us a compelling analysis of the current state of Ethereum and Bitcoin. His main point is clear. It's still early. Since the value of Bitcoin is barely 1/10 that of gold, there is still a great deal of space for growth before it even approaches parity. Bitcoin is the same for Hougan. The first step is to match the value of gold. After then, the question becomes how much bigger Bitcoin can grow rather than if. Additionally, Hougan emphasizes the part that institutions will play in this next stage. Even though Bitcoin is officially a part of global markets with a $3 trillion footprint, institutional money managers and pension funds now possess almost no of the cryptocurrency. According to him, it takes trillions of dollars to bring portfolios into compliance with international standards, not simply a trickle of money. Additionally, there won't be as much supply when that type of financing arrives, which could lead to a sharp increase in costs. According to Hougan, Bitcoin may reach $200,000 in 2025, and Ethereum may also reach all-time highs. Although he is optimistic about both, he refers to Ethereum as the contrarian bet because of its supremacy in tokenization, stablecoins, and AI-driven applications. The conclusion is clear. Although there is still a great deal of upside potential, the risks of Bitcoin collapsing are now mostly behind us. Hougan thinks the true growth narrative is just getting started. Whether it's Bitcoin surpassing the market capitalization of gold, Ethereum driving the next generation of financial technology, or institutions ultimately taking over. For investors, this implies that the opportunity to be early is still available, but it won't last forever. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications for future Bitcoin, macroeconomic, and digital asset content. And as always, happy investing.